All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Effective Resume Thursdays. It's July 29, 2021. Thank you for being with us today. Please note that this event is being recorded. It's currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, and if you have your microphone or camera on, you give consent for your picture and name to appear. Please note that comments that you put in the chat window do not appear in the Zoom recording. For those on Zoom, if you have questions throughout the presentation, we will be using the chat box. Our speaker will be asking some questions, so you're going to want to have your chat box open. For those watching us on Facebook right now, please just enter your comments into the comment field. I am monitoring that feed. We are going to review 1 or 2 resumes today live. You can submit your resume using the chat box right there. Just click on file and you can attach your thing. You can just send it to Carol or you send it to me, whatever you'd like to do. Please note though that your information will be published on Facebook and YouTube. So if you want to delete your header information before you submit it, that would be great. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org. The website to help those who are unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area by trying to put everything they need to know about their job search in one place. In 2012, I started a second website, careerusa.org, to help people outside the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search that you may not know. It is available on Amazon. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s. And I'll tell you about our upcoming programming tomorrow morning at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team. Our speaker today is Carol Brickell. She's a certified professional career coach specializing in job search strategy, resume optimization, and interviewing skills. So Carol, thank you very much for being with us today, and it's all yours.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jeff, and welcome everyone. It looks like we've got a great audience here today, and we are still looking for 1 or 2 volunteers to share your resume. What I'm going to do right now is share my presentation. Yeah, I don't think we've gotten any resumes yet. That's everyone's favorite part of the session. At the end of the session today, what we do is we bring up an actual resume live and in person and give feedback. We share the things we like about it and things that could make it even better. So it's a great opportunity to share and help everybody learn. So if 1 or 2 people could send me in chat their resume, and you're welcome to take off your contact information if you wish to remain anonymous, and just send it to me in chat. And look at, we got one. Okay, let me open up my chat box. Okay. Open up participants. Yay, we got one. So I'm going to download that real quick right now. Let's see. I'm going to download that to my resume file. That's great. So we have one that we'll definitely get to. And then if somebody else wants to send me theirs, we'll try to get to that one as well. Excellent. So welcome to Effective Resumes. We've designed this to be really fast-paced and informative. So feel free to put your phone aside. Now, if you get a call from a hiring manager or recruiter, you're welcome to take that call. But otherwise, put your phone aside and really put your focus into the session today, because we're going to be doing some networking and a lot of interactive conversation. So fasten your seatbelts and join in. And what we like to do is we like to use the interactive components of Zoom and Facebook Live. And so I'd like to start with an opening chat question. If you want to open up your chat box, and I'd like to hear from everyone. Go into chat and type in, what's the best resume tip you've ever heard? What's the best piece of advice? Something somebody told you that helped improve your resume the best. So feel free to go ahead and type something. In fact, I'd like everyone to go into chat and type something. And it looks like we might have another resume, so I'm going to go ahead and save that real quick as well. Good. Good, good. Yeah, I'm starting to get some good comments coming in. So everybody go in and type in the best feedback they've ever gotten regarding resumes to improve them. Okay, good, good. So I'm seeing some comments. Don't make your resume too dense with material. Less is more. That's absolutely true, both for resumes and for interviewing skills. And then also include a skills chart. And what we like to do is put them in bullet points. So they literally, not literally, but they sort of pop off the page as a recruiter is looking at your resume. And somebody said, replace the objective. In the old days, we used to say objective. I'm seeking a position where I can grow my skills. What you want to do is replace that objective with a summary statement about who you are as a professional, but also leveraging the words in the job that you're applying for. So good, you want to match those key words to that job. And then you want to show how you've added value and write it in the third person, not in the first person. Don't say, I'm seeking to do this or I did that. Write it in the third person. Reduce the number of duties and responsibilities, placing them with accomplishments suitable to the job that you're applying for. Keep it truthful, absolutely. Honesty is the best policy. Yes. Short and concise bullet points. Yes, those should be headlines. They shouldn't be full star stories like you tell a star story during an interview. And create a story progression of your history. Yes, and well, sort of, but you don't want to show your whole history. And there's certain ways of showing the dates. So we'll show some examples about how to show your job history.
On Facebook, we have a couple comments. It must be IRC, intentional, relevant, and consistent. And also it must be well-balanced, visually appealing.
Yes, good. And you want to make it visually appealing and easy for the recruiter to read. Sometimes people will put things in multiple columns and try to make it really visually interesting. And if you're applying for a graphics design job or marketing, it might be okay to do some of that formatting in the version that you're giving to the recruiter. But otherwise, you want to keep it really simple and make it easy for a recruiter and for an applicant tracking system to read the text. So thank you to those who have shared your information or shared your comments in chat. And also I see that people are starting to network in chat as well. And I recommend you practice keeping it really brief. People can see your name, just share your job title, what you're looking for, and a couple of target companies. And then watch out there on chat. And if you know somebody's trying to get into a target company where you know some recruiters or know some people, then reach out to that person. Maybe you can help them. So feel free to network in the background as well. That's great. So I'm going to be sharing some resume tips totally from my perspective. And you're welcome to listen to these ideas, and you may hear ideas from others as well. And as you listen, apply to what works best for you. Not everything will work for everybody. And if you were to share your resume with 10 different people, you'll get 100 different opinions. So just listen to all the ideas and then just use what works best for you. And I'm sharing ideas from my perspective as I've been a hiring manager for over 30 years, and I've also gained experience as a recruiter. I've worked in both corporate recruiting and agency recruiting environments. I've worked in both agency and corporate recruiting, and I've placed people in a variety of different roles. And like Jeff, I have volunteered with the Dallas Pit Crew, and I've helped people practice their interview skills. And we're sharing the Pit Crew information in the chat box. So if you are working on your resume, I also encourage you to work on your interview skills and actually practice answering those questions out loud. And the Pit Crew is a wonderful free place to do that. All you have to do is send your resume and a sample job description to dallaspitcrew@gmail.com. We have the information loaded in chat. And also, I've been certified by the Professional Association of Resume Writers and Career Coaches. So I share information based on my experience as a professional and also what I learned through the certification process and by going through I keep going to additional continuing education with this organization as well. And then also I keep up with my friends at Next Step Recruiting. Since I retired from there in 2019, I've kept in touch with them. In fact, I was just talking to them yesterday, and some of the hot jobs that they're always interviewing for are things like accounting supervisors, AP managers, staff accountants. They always need staff accountants, billing supervisors, and they often need HR people as well. And sometimes they are looking for recruiters to place them with some of their clients. So if you don't have a great recruiter working for you, please reach out to me. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn and send a personal note, and I can get you connected with a great recruiter at Next Step Recruiting. And here's our agenda today. It's kind of a two-part agenda. During the first half, I'll talk about applicant tracking systems and how your resume is read by those systems. And then I'll share my top 10 favorite resume tips. So I'll be sharing that. And then also we'll talk about the concept of a one-page bio and how that's different from a resume. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the concept of a master resume, and we'll talk about the key components of a resume, and then we'll review those sample resumes, and that's where we'll really learn. Okay. So first, we'll talk about applicant tracking systems, and welcome to the people who've joined us. A few more people have joined us. And who knows the name of an applicant tracking system? Do you know the names of any of these systems? When you're applying online, there's a system behind the scene that's reading your resume and taking that data and parsing it and putting it into a database. Yes, absolutely. Somebody mentioned Taleo. That's a long time legacy system that a lot of companies use. And also Workday has come out with an applicant tracking component as well. In fact, when I worked at Ryan LLC, we were planning to implement Workday as a finance and HR system, and they had just come up with their applicant tracking component. We were one of the first companies to implement that, and it works pretty well. And so what these systems do is they read the data in your resume. So you want to keep your resume pretty clear from any special formatting. So you don't want to have boxes and underlines. You don't want to put your contact information in the header in Microsoft Word, because especially Workday doesn't read that information. And all these different systems, and there's over 100 applicant tracking systems, they all work differently. And each company will implement it differently. They can configure it and implement it differently. So you may hear conflicting things about these applicant tracking systems. So don't worry about it too much, but just try not to clutter up your resume with too many special formatting characters. And you do want to make sure that the language, the key words in your resume align to the job description that you're applying to. And there's a good tool called jobscan.co that you can use to compare your resume to a job description to see how good of a match you are. And then often applicant tracking systems give you an opportunity to also upload your resume as an attachment. And that's a version that the recruiter will be looking at, and the recruiter would probably be sending to the hiring manager to look at if you get called for an interview. And that version that you upload as an attachment, you can upload as a PDF if you want to protect that formatting. Now, the version when you're initially applying online, you want to upload that in native Microsoft Word and not a PDF document, because some systems like Workday don't like PDF documents when you're uploading it into the applicant tracking system. And then also, applicant tracking systems give you an option to include a cover letter. And if you get that option, I would recommend going ahead and doing it. And we do have, somebody calls it an applicant tossing system. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. That's pretty funny, pretty sad, but pretty funny. And we'll talk about that. If it does give you a chance to upload a cover letter, I suggest you go ahead and do that. A lot of recruiters, such as myself, we didn't spend a lot of time looking at cover letters, but some hiring managers will read them to get an idea for your attention to detail. They'll be looking for any errors, and they'll also be looking for your writing style. And yeah, and regarding the PDF, when you're applying online, it's good to have it as native Microsoft Word so it can read all the text easily and parse the data. But then later in the process, it gives you an opportunity to upload an attachment that the recruiter would see. That's the one you would want to do as a PDF, not the original one. Hopefully that makes sense. And if that doesn't make sense, let me know. So when you're applying online, do it in native Microsoft Word so it can read all the text. If it gives you a chance as an attachment later for the recruiter to look at, that one, PDF, so it preserves the format. Yeah, we've learned all that through trial and error. And we do have a sample easy version of a cover letter that we'll share in chat. And I recommend you go ahead and do a cover letter, because that's your opportunity to state why you're interested in that particular job at that company. And hiring managers like to read that. So that's a main reason for using a cover letter. And then also you can highlight how you have the background that meets the requirements for that particular job. Okay. And then because all of these ATS systems work differently, basically you just have to kind of keep the big picture in mind and try to upload a resume that has a no special formatting. And is it okay to submit a cover letter in the resume itself? No, don't merge the two documents. They're two different documents. Keep your resume pure and keep the cover letter pure. That's my recommendation as a recruiter, because it kind of drives us nuts when we're trying to look at the resume and then there's some cover letter text at the beginning of it. So that's my perspective on that one. If anybody else has a different perspective on that, feel free to share it in the chat. Okay. And so you want to keep a big picture in mind regarding these ATS systems because they all work differently. So try to minimize any special formatting boxes, special characters, special bullet points, and then try to review the data that's been uploaded if it gives you the opportunity to do that. And Workday does give you that opportunity. And then here's the most important thing, because somebody called these systems applicant tossing systems. And that's rather sad. And that's because if you just apply to an applicant tracking system and just sit back and wait to be called for an interview, what's the percentage chance you're going to get called for an interview? I know some of you may know the answer to that. Somebody said 0. There's actually a statistical number. It's near 0. It's up, there we go, 3%. It's 2% statistically. I can attest to that as a recruiter. I would tend to call about 2%, because there may be 300 people that have applied. I may look at the first screen of candidates, that might be 20 candidates, and I may call 10 of them. So you only have about a 2% chance of getting called for an interview. So what you really need to do, this is so important, is contact a person. So you want to apply for jobs where you meet the requirements. Make sure you meet the requirements. You need to align your job to that job description. Align your resume to that job description. And we'll show you how to do that. And then when you apply online, reach out to a person. And when I say reach out to a person, who do I mean? Who should you reach out to? Here's some ideas. Reach out to a first or second level LinkedIn connection, at the company, and say, hey, I just applied to a position at your company. I meet the requirements. I'd be really grateful if you could forward over my resume and vouch for me to the recruiting leader or recruiter in your organization. And that will increase your chances to 50% if you have an employee referral. If you don't know a person at the company, then reach out to the recruiter who posted the job. And sometimes you can find out the name of the recruiter. Sometimes they will show their name on LinkedIn when they make the posting. Most often they don't. So if you don't see the name of the recruiter who posted the job, don't just reach out to any other recruiter, because they are probably underwater. They're working on other jobs. They're trying to make a placement so they don't get fired. It's a high pressure job. So what I would recommend is, if you don't know a person there, you don't know the name of the recruiter, go a level up and search for the name of a recruiting leader at that organization. And send a message to them And the magic words are, I meet the requirements for the job, including, and mention a couple things that you've done that stand out. So I highly recommend that, and that will increase your chances of getting called for an interview. Whenever I'm coaching people and somebody says, oh, I got called in for an interview, I ask them, okay, how'd you get called in? And usually they'll tell a story like that. Well, I applied for a job and I had a friend there, and I told my friend I applied for that job and I meet the requirements, and I asked them to reach out to the recruiting organization. So I hear that story anecdotally over and over again. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go into my favorite all-star resume tips. We'll see if you like these as well. Okay. Number one, this seems so basic, but I would say 90% of the resumes I've looked at as a recruiter and career coach have some sort of error in them. It might be a typo, might be a spelling error. Most often it's an issue with the verbs and the bullet points. And most often it's like a spacing issue, like things aren't in alignment. And that shows a lack of attention to detail. And most jobs that you're applying for, that's a requirement for the job, attention to detail. So if you have any sort of error, even if it's a spacing error, your resume could get tossed out. And somebody's asking a question. What happens if you have the required skills, but not all the preferred skills? I'd say don't worry about it. If you have the required skills, that is super. Preferred is usually icing on the cake. So I'd say go for it for sure. Now, I would recommend being able to discuss all those preferred skills. If they're asking for somebody who has a Scrum Master certification, be able to describe what a Scrum Master does and what your experience is in attending daily Scrum meetings or something like that. But yeah, good. And number two, ensure that your verbs are parallel. Does anybody know what that means? Type into chat if you know what that means. Because what I do is when I'm reviewing a resume, I look in the most current job, and those verbs should be in the present tense, unless it's a project you've completed and that particular bullet's in the past tense. But all verbs, all the bullet points should start with a verb in the past tense for previous jobs. You wouldn't believe how many resumes where I see a mishmash of verb tenses, and hiring managers will often throw out those resumes. Okay. Good. And then also, I highly recommend you include your title at the top of the resume that aligns to the title you're applying for, so we can tell what kind of person you are. Many times I look at a resume and I can't tell, what kind of person are you? Are you an accountant? Are you an HR person? Are you a business analyst? And so you want to include the title. It's real easy. If you're a business analyst and you're applying for a business analyst job, you would say business analyst. Now, if you're an HR generalist and you're applying for an HR business partner job and you've never had that title, you might want to finesse it a little. You don't want to lie. Somebody mentioned you want to be honest. You may not want to say HR business partner at the top of your resume if you've never held that title, but you may want to say HR professional and put HR generalist down below, and be sure to list that you have all the skills that they're looking for. That's one way of doing it. So that one, it may require a conversation with a recruiter or a career coach to decide what to put on the top of your resume so that you're still honest, but still so it aligns to that job. Okay, most of the connections I've used as a referral to ask me to let them initiate the referral process before I apply. Each company has their own way of doing it. When I worked at Ryan LLC, we liked for candidates to go ahead and get in the system, then reach out to us. Some companies do it the other way around. So follow the direction of whatever your friend is telling you, because they know their corporate culture the best. So I just say follow the advice that you're getting. So that's a great question there. Good. And then align your resume so that the language speaks to the heart of the job. And we'll show an example of this towards the end of the presentation. regarding how to align a resume to the job description. But you want to read that job description and get an idea, what's at the heart of the job? What's the most important thing you would be doing on the job? What's the most important skill they're looking for? For example, with most business analyst jobs, they're looking for people that can document business requirements. That can work with clients and document business requirements. That's at the heart of the job. So that whatever is at the heart of the job should be in this very first opening statement in your summary, that you're an innovative business analyst with proven track record of documenting business requirements and working directly with clients. So you want to put that right front and center in your summary. And then also be sure that your key skills or areas of expertise align with the job. So hopefully that makes sense. And you're welcome to ask questions if it doesn't. And somebody already mentioned this one, less is more. Don't have too much text and unusual formatting with multiple columns. It kind of drives recruiters nuts and ATS systems nuts. And then ensure that your resume is consistent with LinkedIn, especially the jobs you've had and the dates. Otherwise, it can raise concerns. And include volunteer information if it's to your advantage. There have been times when I've looked at resumes and somebody had like 10 volunteer activities. I thought, how are they going to have time to do my job? Or it was a bunch of activities that had nothing to do with the job. But if you're applying for a company that does a lot of community outreach and they're involved with Habitat for Humanity, and you've done a Habitat for Humanity project, that might be a good one to put on your resume. Or if you're applying for an HR position and you're a leader in the SHRM organization or something, that might be worthwhile. So do it very carefully if it's to your advantage. And somebody's asking a question. If you want to apply for a position, have not been able to get a hold of somebody, how long should you wait? Well, I would apply and keep plugging. If you haven't heard from somebody in a day, reach out to somebody else. If you haven't heard from somebody by the second day, reach out to the recruiting manager. I would just keep trying different things. Yeah, so keep on trucking. Hopefully that answers your question. And in the business of recruiting, we use the expression, time kills all deals. So have a sense of urgency, keep at it. I mean, maybe you reach out to 3 people in one day, and reach out to people in parallel, doesn't matter. So keep after it, because those recruiters are doing that to try to find the right person. Okay. Good. And then use a reverse chronological order. Use a chronological format, not functional, because that frustrates recruiters and hiring managers. They want to see your full picture of your career history. So they want to see the chronological version. I've had hiring managers say, I don't want to see a functional resume. I want to see a chronological one. And then the dates at the company should be right justified. And we'll show an example of how to put the dates on it if you've had multiple jobs within a company. So hold on, we'll show an example of that. And then also, you can use a previous relevant experience section of your computer or of your resume for older jobs. And we'll show an example of that as well. So those are my top tips. And as I've worked over the years with people on their resumes, I've gotten a lot of feedback that once people created a summary section with areas of expertise and minimized the number of bullet points and made them really impactful, and then also minimized the number of older jobs and put them, just listed the companies under previous relevant experience and got everything onto 2 pages, people got more phone calls and got called in. And when people did the follow-up, they got invited to more interviews. So my goal for you is that you take what advice is most helpful for you, apply that to your resume, and follow up when you do job applications. And then my hope for you is you'll get more calls for interviews. And then also want to practice and go to the Recruiter practice. So I recommend you pausing a moment and take a picture of these resume tips so that you can do an activity with your afterwards, after the session. Go through these resume tips, and the ones that apply to you the most or that resonate with you the most, try to make those changes in your resume. Okay. And somebody said, okay, the biggest part is how long to wait to apply if you can't get anyone, because time. I would go ahead and apply. I wouldn't wait for anything. I would just keep on going. And if you're already in the system, that shouldn't goof things up too much. So I wouldn't wait too long on anybody, because time kills all deals. Okay. Good. And now we'll pause for a moment and talk about one-page bios. And if you have a one-page executive bio or one-page marketing sheet or one-page bio, type a comment in chat and type how you've used that document. And here's kind of a summary of what's different about a resume versus a bio. A resume really signals you're looking for a job. But if you're out there networking or just doing informational interviews, bios can be used with less risk. They're not going to make the person feel uncomfortable. Like, it doesn't really look like you're, do you have a job for me? It's more of an introductory document. And here's an example of a one-page bio. In fact, we'll show two different example layouts, and I think we'll be able to post those in chat as well. So you can take these formats and you can customize it for yourself. I was looking for a good one-page bio format, and I couldn't find many good examples on the internet. So one of my clients was using this format and he got good feedback about it. So he shared it with me, and I just plugged my information in it so I could share it with people. But it has your picture, and it's okay with networking types of documents like one-page bios. These are like social networking documents. And then it has your key areas of expertise, a summary statement about yourself, professional background, the companies you work for and the dates, education, contact information, and then some key accomplishments here. And then somebody has a marketing plan. Okay, good. And then as a one-page bio only for those with lots of professional experience? No, I think almost anybody with some, targeted professional experience and can write up a few statements can have a one-page bio. I think that's fine. I'm seeing more and more people. I used to call these executive bios, and I'm seeing more and more people at an individual contributor level that are fairly new in their career create these. So I think that's fine. And here's another one. This could be called a marketing plan or a bio, because this does have target functions and target companies. And now you'd want to be careful with this. If you're sharing this with like a recruiter or an HR person at your target company, you may want to have only that target company on the list. I don't know if you want to show them the other companies, or definitely have it number one. So I don't know. Okay. And you can include a picture with your one-page bio, just like you do on your LinkedIn bio or profile page, because it's a social networking kind of document platform. You do not want to include a picture on your resume, which is a job application document, and it's subject more to employment law situations. And you don't want to cause anything that could be perceived as a bias. So you do not want to include a photo on your resume, but on a one-page bio for networking, yes, it's fine. So thank you for asking that question. Okay, now Jeff, if you'd like to take a moment and talk about the concept of a master resume, that'd be great.
I want to mention two things. One, a bunch of people are saying they cannot download documents that I'm putting in the chat window. If that's the case, at the end of this, I'll give you an email address that you can send an email to. Let me know what you're looking for. You're looking for the resume documents, and I will get those to you.
What is that email? And I'll go ahead and type it in here. What is the email?
Oh, I've resume@careerdfw.org. Resume@careerdfw.org. Mm-hmm. So you can just send me an email after the session, and we'll get those to you. So a master resume. Make it easy on yourself. So a master resume is 10 pages, 15 pages, 20 pages. It's everything you've done in your professional career or careers if you've had multiple careers. And you put all the details, you put the addresses, you put who your supervisors were. You may have 8, 10, or 15 bullet points underneath each one of those. And by doing that, what will happen is when you see a job description, you then save your master resume you save it as whatever the name of the company is you're applying to, and then eliminate everything that's not in the job description. Because this way you don't have to think about, well, you know, I did that back in 1992, or I did this at this job. What's the best way to word it? If you already have it really worded well, it makes it really easy. So that way, when you're filling out when you see a job description, you can match that resume directly to the job description. I don't care whatever else you've done. If I don't ask for it in the job description, don't tell me about it on your resume. I'm sure everybody here has done a lot of really great things, but just tell them what's on the job description. You're trying to match the requirements of the job description, because you never know. You could have a 20-year-old fresh out of college, or maybe just a high school student who's sitting there going through that first batch of resumes, they have a job description and they're trying to match it up, and they're just looking for keywords and go, yeah, I think this matches. So make it easy, because you want to get that phone call. Once you get that phone call, then you could send them, if they want, a more detailed resume. But at this point, just tell them what they want to know. Less is more.
Great. Yeah, I do appreciate that. And sometimes what you want to do in talking about your past history is there might be things in your background that show you have some deeper experience in certain areas. For example, a friend of mine had been a business analyst, and he was applying a job as a recruiter to recruit accounting and finance. So he included some old jobs where he'd done he had served as a financial analyst. So he did go ahead and include that. It wasn't in the job description, but it was something he knew that the hiring manager would look for that background in his background. So sometimes you have to think about, okay, what's in the job description, and also what kind of extra experiences might they think is important for this job. So you have to think about that a little bit to decide what to include on your resume when you're applying. But yeah, include everything in your master resume, and that way you have it in one place. I'm finding more and more people are creating those kind of master resumes. Excellent. So now we'll talk about characteristics of good resumes. The goal is you want to make sure that it's easy for the ATS system and people like recruiters and hiring managers to see that you're a good match for the job. So you want to make the formatting clean, simple, the overall length. The sweet spot is really about 2 pages for professional people. If you just have a 1-page resume, people think that it's just a 1-page bio, or it kind of signals to a recruiter that you're just out of college. So most professionals have at least 2 pages. And then some jobs like higher education or government jobs, it's okay to have 3, 4, or 5 pages. And then number of years of experience. This is where you have to make a decision. And there's several different options. And we have a question that we'll ask people either in chat on Zoom, or you can type in a comment with A, B, or C on Facebook Live. So how much experience do you show on your resume? Do you show all of your experience, or only the most recent 10 to 15 years? Or do you show details about the recent 10 to 15 years and then have a section that says prior relevant experience, where you list the relevant companies that you worked for? And the funny thing is, when I applied for a job at the age of 59 and a half, I showed all of my experience because everybody knew I'd worked at EDS for many, many years. And so I did option A, and that worked for me. Option B, I would see a lot of people do that, where they would show only the most recent 10 years, and then it looked like the resume was chopped off. And the hiring managers would often say, something missing here? I don't feel like I'm getting the full picture. And then in interviews, there would be confusion, because we would ask a question, tell me about a time you managed a large global project. And they would cite an example about when they worked at IBM or something. And we'd say, wait a minute, that's not on your resume. And they'd say, oh, that was so long ago, I just chopped that off. And so it causes confusion. So I found that hiring managers and most recruiters actually like option C, where you put more details in for your most recent jobs, and then have a section where we say prior relevant experience. And there you can just list the company names and maybe the job titles, and you don't have to put the dates, but just to show the full picture of your job history. So I'm finding more and more people are liking option C. And how current does the volunteer experience need to be? It looks a little funny if it's really old. It looks a little better if some of it's in the last 10 or 15 years. So it does look a little funny if it's a little old, so more than 10 years. So that's my thought on that. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts about that. Okay. All right. And now I'm going to go through key components of a resume. And these are some of the major key components. You may have additional sections as well. And the first thing we'll talk about is your header. You want to have your name. And this is actually something I've kind of learned over the years. The best thing to do is put the name you like to be called. Because people often think, I need to put my legal name. Well, my husband's legal name is Joel Edward Brickell, but nobody knows that. Everybody knows him as Ed. So he would put on his resume, Ed Brickell. That's what he likes to be called. So on the actual job application, there'll be a place for you to put in your legal name and put in your name on your driver's license and such. But on your resume and on your LinkedIn profile, you want to make it easy for the recruiter so they know what to call you in an interview. It just makes it easier. Put the name you like to be called. Last job was over 20 years, and I don't go past that anymore. Okay, yeah, if you can, if you don't answer questions in your older job or don't use stories from your older job, that's probably fine. The person that just has 20 years of experience on the resume, yeah, that's fine. Another option for you would be to list prior relevant experience and just list other company names. Okay. And then also you want to make sure to include your contact information, a professional looking email address, not Carol likes kitty cats at rocketmail.com or something like that. And then don't include your physical street address. Include the closest major city. Okay. Somebody says they use their full name on LinkedIn. Name I want to be called in quotes. I don't know if that's true or not. Told by a recruiter you have to have your full name on LinkedIn. I've not heard that you have to have your.
I mean, I would put on LinkedIn what you want people to call you.
Yeah.
Because when you fill out an online application, there's usually a space to put in a LinkedIn profile link, and so you can put that in there. So put down what you want to be called. And I think that would even be true on a job application. You're not faking out a job application, or you put in quotes, whatever it is that you want to be called, so people call you the right thing. People want to be personable. So
yeah. Especially with LinkedIn and your resume, I put what you want to be known for. And on the application, it'll show you where to type in, put in your legal name. Yeah. So that's where you'll get different pieces of advice from different people. Okay. Then regarding the city, closest major city, state, I'm going to go through the rest kind of quickly so we can get to those the actual resumes. Then you want a summary profile with that opening statement that really says who you are, that appeals to what's in the heart of the job that you're applying for. And like innovative business analyst with a proven track record of doing these things that would be done in this job that I'm applying for. And you need to modify this every time you apply for a job. And then your areas of expertise, about nine keywords. This seems to be the magic number here. And you want to make sure the top ones across the top and in the first column are words that are mentioned in the job description that you're applying for. And then here's an optional section. I see a lot of salespeople, business development people, and people are doing quantifiable, goal-oriented types of activities. If you're wanting to show a track record of achieving targets, it's good to show key accomplishments, like the salesperson who's showing that they exceeded the sales targets for 5 consecutive years, and that might be over several different jobs. So a key accomplishments section might be helpful. That's a good optional section. And here's how we, here's a professional experience section. And here you want to make it in reverse chronological order. Make sure your verbs are parallel. Those verbs for the past jobs are in the past tense. And include a one-line description of the company that you work for. And limit the number of bullets per job, maybe about 5 or 6 at the most. Focus on results. People often ask me, how do I get these bullets to focus on results? And what I say is, play the so what game. Read the bullet point. And this is an actual example. This was a marketing leader that I was working with. They had a bullet that said they guided the next phase of brand evolution for multimedia artists. You know, that's kind of neat and everything. But I said, so what? What was the result? What was the outcome? And she responded and said, you know, it increased business opportunities for the client. And it led to 10 new commissions for their client. So that gave her ideas of how she could enhance that bullet and have it start with a stronger verb that focuses on the results. So she reworded it to say she increased business opportunities, including 10 new commissions for a client based on developing a full social media and PR strategy. And here she also modified the language in her bullet to align to the keywords they were looking for. They were looking for references to social media and also PR strategy. And those are things she'd done. So that's how she reworded that particular bullet. And here's an example of what we like to recommend in terms of how to, let's see, there we go, how we like to show the dates. You want to show the full dates that you work for a particular company, right, justified, but the dates for individual jobs, put those in parentheses right up next to the job titles if you have multiple jobs within one company. Otherwise, if all of these dates are right justified at first glance, and remember, recruiters only spend about 7.4 seconds looking at your resume. If they glance at it and all your dates are right justified, they'll think you're a job hopper. But if you do it this way, it tells a much stronger story. And then you want to be sure to include your education, software skills, especially if in the job description, if they're looking for Excel and Adobe, put it in your software skills. And if you don't have a degree, write something like this: the school, city, state, and the major or area of concentration, or the number of course hours.
Where do you recommend they put like certifications? Underneath education?
Yes, yes. And some people put education, and sometimes in their education section, education and certifications. You could do it that way. Yeah. But that general area, absolutely. And this is one of my favorite slides. On the left is an actual job description for a business analyst. On the right is a part of a job or a resume for a business analyst. And every time you apply for a job, I recommend you read and highlight and really study the keywords in the job description. Towards the bottom of the job description, it might say, here's what you bring, or here are the requirements or the qualifications. Look at these words. They're requiring Agile and Scrum. So you want to be sure those words are on your resume. And in your professional experience, you want to show evidence that you have those skills. And they're looking for Visual Studio. That's a requirement. So if you have that background, be sure to list it on your software experience. And then finance knowledge is a plus as well. And then also read the description. Think about what's at the heart of this job. You know, in the opening sentence, they talk about it for this job, documenting business requirements is at the heart of this. So you want to put that in that very first opening sentence. And then look for other areas of expertise they're looking for, like improving processes. Make sure those are listed. Creating user manuals, process flow charts, you know, put those things. So it doesn't take long. It takes just a few minutes to make sure this opening statement gets at the heart of the job, and then the skills they're looking for are right there. Okay, so now we have a few minutes to look at the resumes. Okay. So I will pull a resume, I think. Oh, is it? Oh, it's asking me to look at it in an app store or something. Oh, it's a downloaded. The first person who sent me a resume, it's some sort of downloaded thing. And I'm not, let me see if I can get to it. I don't think I can get to it. If you could send it as an attachment, we'll try to get to it. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is send the second. Oh, the second one is the same way. I don't know, Jeff, if you can get to these, but I can't get to them. They weren't sent as attachments.
I'm going to back up and see.
If you can go back up into chat. Okay, somebody sent me something else.
Oh yeah, now I'm getting a network disconnect.
Okay, I think I got one now. Thank you, whoever jumped in there. I got a live one. Good, okay. Just in time. So sorry about the other two that were sent to me. They weren't sent as attachments. Are you able to see this resume, or do I need to do another screen?
No, we're looking at your screen that shows all the ones you saved. So
okay.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, good. So thank you, and your contact information is there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down this, and I'd like
to turn off editing function, that little P in the very underneath review. I think if you click on that, it'll turn off.
Oh, the paragraph thing.
There we go.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was looking at something there. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down this, and I'd like for everyone in our audience to look at this resume. And if you see things that you like, go ahead and type comments into chat. If you have any suggestions, go ahead and put those comments in chat as well. See a couple things. In today's world, since most resumes are being viewed online, I find that you don't need to put this, whatever you call that, header thing on your resume anymore, because people, it breaks up the flow. So I'd say you don't need to do that anymore. That's my personal preference. Also, if you put your education at the top of your resume, that sends a signal to the recruiter, oh, must be a recent college grad, because recent college grads tend to put their education at the top of their resume. So I'd recommend you put, if you're a professional who's been working a while, and it looks like you have, I would put your education towards the bottom. Okay.
Also, since there's space on the bottom of the second page, I would give yourself bigger margins. You're not leaving yourself any room for anybody writing comments. If you can, try to have a 1-inch margin. It just is beneficial. And you don't have to list, you don't have to put down email and LinkedIn. If somebody doesn't know that's an email address, or somebody doesn't know that's a LinkedIn address, I don't know if I want them contacting me. So
yeah, it's self-evident. Yes, yes. And hot links, Workday doesn't like them. Some systems do and some systems don't. I tend to, you can make this not a hot link. Oh, I was trying to make it. Remove hyperlink.
Right click, yeah.
Yeah, remove whatever. For some reason I didn't get there. So yeah, and you can take off cell here. Yeah, okay.
Click down on the 9 bullet points. Did he set it up as, is it a table or is it set up with tabs? Yep, he set it up as a table. So there's a good chance that an ATS system won't recognize that. You just want to tab over to get to the next space that you want to do. So
yes.
And you don't need to have the bullet point. You don't need to have the actual bullet there. Just list the 9 things that you want to do.
Yeah. And there's some special formatting here with these underlining. I would just take those off. Yeah. And it really doesn't enhance anything to have those underlines there.
Somebody in the chat said something about the dates. You know, we talked about the dates should be right, justified.
Yes, because recruiters are looking down the right to see how long you've been at each company. Yes.
And put a little sentence and tell people what FDS Avionics does and what WinCore is. Let you know it because you're in that industry, but a recruiter may not.
Yes, and I believe we shared our sample resume in chat. So I'd recommend to this person, download that sample resume and kind of look at that formatting. Yes. Okay. RSM, I guess that's regional sales manager. Okay. So if you're going to say an acronym, you should do this if you want to do that. I don't know. I don't even know if I would make that an acronym. I would just spell it out. And let's see. And
The second bullet point has some results, but everything else, updated all domestic and international dealer information.
So what? What was the result? That's just a funny one. Yeah.
Numbers sell. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
dollars, percent,
Yeah.
dollar percent numbers sell.
And some hiring managers would throw out this resume because of the last bullet. You know why? Some would throw that out. Throw out the whole resume because of that last bullet. Does anybody know why? This job is, it looks like it's in the past.
Oh, develop, should be developed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's present.
Sounded customer relationships. That sounds like not proper English.
Oh, that's a second one. Good eye there. For two reasons that this resume could get thrown out for that bullet. Develop is in the present tense when it should be past tense because it's not parallel with develop and maintained. Developed and maintained. Sound. Yes. Okay. That should be sound customer relationships. Yep. Okay.
Can you throw out that impressive resume for that one incorrect word?
I have seen a hiring manager go, nope, when that has happened, because they get so angry when they see not an attention to detail.
Go find an English teacher. Get some help from an English teacher.
Yeah. So have somebody you trust look at your resume, either a recruiter, career coach, or a good friend, or somebody. Yeah.
What do you think about technology being up as high as he's got technology listed? Salesforce. I mean, would you list those as a couple bullet points?
It depends. I think it depends on the job. If the job, you know, one of the first things is must have extensive Salesforce experience, I might do this. If it just mentions Salesforce as a skill, maybe the fifth one down or so, I'd put it down at the bottom. Yeah. But if one of the job requirements is must be technically savvy and databases and stuff, yeah, okay. So I'd say these bullet points in the most recent jobs need to be edited pretty well. And if you want to reach out to me on LinkedIn, I can give some advice on email too. So feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn and I can share. Yeah. Is it okay to go to the third page? Yeah, if you need to, it's fine. It's actually okay. I recommend trying to get it onto 2 pages, but if you need to go to a third page. Okay.
I mean, if you're going to 3 pages, either it's an education job or the job description must be 3 pages long. You know, but if the job description is only 1 page, your resume doesn't need to be more than 2 pages. Cut something out, less is more, whet their appetite, get them to want to call you and ask more information. Tell them you have the experience and, you know, you have the right keywords to match it.
And I would say the summary section needs to be done. People aren't going to read all this and it's kind of confusing. There's a 3-word rule with recruiters. Sometimes they read only the first 3 to 5 words. So challenged to increase sales, that doesn't sound very positive. It sounds like you were challenged. It doesn't sound like you exceeded something or achieved something. So I'd say this whole section here needs to be rewritten. Oh. Okay, and I think we're out of time.
All righty. Well, Carol, thank you very, very much.
One thing you notice the slash between million and years, because those words will not be read.
Yeah, I didn't see what that was, but you're absolutely correct. It wouldn't be read with the slash in the middle of the word. Yeah, that's what the ATS system would think it is.
Right. So Carol, thank you very much. Here's Carol's LinkedIn profile. If you want to send her a message or connect with her, please do so. Click on the blue connect button. But when you do that, please send a personal note. Always send a personal note. Tell her that you saw her here today at Effective Resume Thursday, and you'd like to connect, and that would be beneficial. If you'd like to get the sample resume, the T cover letter, the one-page bio, any of those documents, especially those people on Facebook, or if you couldn't download them, just send an email to resume@careerdfw.org. Resume@careerdfw.org. Let me know that you're looking for the resume documents, and I will get those to you. It may be Saturday before I do that because I don't tend to check that account every day. So please send an email, resume@careerdfw.org. Career DFW, we're putting on training as of next week, only 4 days a week. I've decided after 16 months of COVID lockdown that I'm going to have a 3-day weekend from now on. So the networking sessions will be moving to Thursdays. We'll talk about that in just a second. So coming up tomorrow morning at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, the new normal of job search, what Kurt Vondermatter is a retained executive search consultant. He's going to talk about what he's seen over the last 16 months and where he sees the next few months are heading. So join us. I mean, he's a very interesting person. He spends a lot of money on LinkedIn to pay for the recruiting package and how to find you. So it'll be a really good presentation tomorrow morning, 9:30. As I said, the networking group is moving to Thursdays. So what we'll be doing is the first and third Thursday will be resumes. The second and fourth Thursdays will be networking. So our first networking session will be on August 12th. So LinkedIn next Tuesday, for LinkedIn Tuesday, how to create a LinkedIn brand. It tells your key contacts who you are, what you do, and how you can help. This is with Terry Sullivan. The session will not be recorded. It will not be available to be viewed after the session's over. So if you want to see it, you do need to just watch it live. On Wednesday, we've completed all 13 sessions, and we're going to start all over again with session number 1, preparing to be interviewed, how employment recruiting works, and developing internet interview tools. So that'll be session 1 next Wednesday at 1 o'clock. And then next Thursday for our Effective Resume class, Andy Cook will be with us to talk about selecting resume language. So you can join us every day tomorrow morning and next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel. It'll take a couple hours for it to get up onto the YouTube channel. Please follow us on Facebook. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd really, really appreciate it. On the YouTube channel, it looks something like this. Be sure to click where they see the green arrow where it says playlist. And what will happen is when you do that, if you don't do that, you'll see all the videos in a random order. If you click on playlist, you'll then see Effective Resumes, interviewing, LinkedIn, networking. You'll be able to pick a title that you want. And then don't click on the video, but click down below where you see the red arrow where it says View Full Playlist. And then up will come a list of all the different topics in chronological order, which you can go back and watch any one of them that you'd like to. The newest one should be on top. If not, click on the little sort button. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops and you'd like to join the Career USA mailing list, you can send an email to Career USA, the +subscribe@groups.io. You will never be spammed, but you will get 6 emails a week. One will be the tip of the week, and the other 4 or 5 will be the current events that are going on that week. Along with, you'll get the title of the day, the topic of the day, and the Zoom link for the day. So that way, you don't have to go looking for it. It'll be right there in your email for you. Please note, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Carol's a volunteer. We have no full or part-time employees. Everything I've done over the last 13 years has been as a volunteer. I'm just here to help you. We're here to help you land your next great opportunity. Career DFW survives on donations. Please consider making a donation when you land your next job. So thank you for joining us today. Carol, thank you very, very much. And hopefully we'll see everybody either tomorrow or one day next week. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Jeff, and thanks, everybody.